Yo, what's up? DJ Duro here for another episode of Fatherhood, Fraternity podcast. We're here to talk about things that men always are living through, you know, whether it's stuff about our spouse, stuff about our kids, brotherhood, all that stuff. So we're in a barbershop. We are in Different Strokes Barber Studio. I'll let my man Jay tell y'all.
Yeah, this 417 Agler Road, Different Strokes Barber Studio. Come see us, come get a fade, man. Get fresh.
Yeah, that's what we do. So I'm DJ Duro, aka your favorite. We have with us.
Hey, Norm Strick. What's going on, everybody?
It's Jeremiah @_Rockwell.
And Jay brought a guest in the building.
Hey.
Introduce your guest.
This is Jerry Hammond. I'm not going to tell you he's a big-time golfer. I'm not going to tell you he's the man with the plan. I'm going to let him tell you who he is.
I appreciate that, big boy. Yeah, this is Jerry Hammond, and I'm glad to be here, fellas. You know that. I've come to find out what you boys are doing, and it's necessary. Can't say it any other way. So this message is going to be heard.
Good. That's what we need. We need to make sure that as many people take the time to hear what we have to say, and not even just people outside of our community. We need in our community to hear what we have to say, to know that, as we always say, we're not going through this. We're not the only ones going through the same thing. Like, we're all going through the same things in different perspectives. So we're gonna kick it off. So we usually every week have a question of the day. I'm gonna have my man Jay submit to us what the question is for the barbershop, and we're gonna break it down.
All right. This week is more about, because I think we talk about fatherhood a lot. I think this week is more for the husbands. And long story short, when do you let your wife lead? When do you step back and let your woman lead? That's an issue that's going on in my household, and I'm sure it's going on in everybody's household. The man always has the plan. The man always knows what to do. According to the book, the man is the head of the household and all of that.
Right.
But when do you let your wife drive? When does she get to call the shots?
So, I guess scenario, Jay, give us a little bit of insight on what you're referring
Without
to.
being too specific
without being
to
too
your
specific, yeah.
personal.
Right.
If you need to exchange names for like Exhibit
Niggas
8,
don't know that. Right? He's only had one wife.
Let me let y'all know.
for 16 years.
So this is kind of the issue. I got everything figured out, and I can't do no wrong, right? You ask me what to do, I'm gonna tell you how to do it and when to do it. And I know that I'm not always correct. I know that I don't have all the answers.
Right.
A lot of times, as any good leader would, you know who to put in position. You know who has the best skill for the job, right? And so at time, it comes to an argument to where there's a task that needs to be handled, and my wife is looking towards me. My wife is looking at me like, what do we do?
Right.
And really, I want to ask her, like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I do not know. Baby, what do you think? And it's difficult for me to say that as the man, as the macho man, head of the household. It's difficult for me to say I don't know. And so I'm just thinking out loud, and we talk about this in the shop. When do you step back, step down, or however you look at your position? When do you take a step back and let your wife lead? Is there any situation to where maybe if it's finance and your wife is better with the money? Maybe if it's handling the children and your wife is a better nurturer than you are. But when do you take a step back? You know?
I tell you what I'm going to say. I think it's going to be a matter of the scenario and the situation like you just said. You know, that's your partner for life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you all ham and egg it when you can, where you can, and how you can. So a lot of times I think those situations will spell themselves out. You know, just like you said, if somebody is the more financially sound one, then they're going to make that decision, chances are. You know what I mean? And if someone's the more of the nurture, they're going to handle those scenarios that, you know, accommodate that situation. But I guess if there's a stalemate and the wife is asking you and you don't know, or I don't know, then we're going to be open and we're going to figure it out. But somebody's going to take the lead, and maybe it's a joint effort. You know, maybe it's joint. Maybe it ain't maybe it ain't you take the lead on this. Maybe we just say, we come up with a decision, we're going to do it this way.
That's what I was thinking. Like, more so, if we can't individually figure it out, let's make a decision together.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out together. Let's, come up with a game plan together. So for me, I've been in that situation where I was the head of finances because I work in banking. I'm really good with money. But something about like the budget and things that I was doing wasn't working that well. So my wife, she created a budget. She got an Excel file, and she was like, let me just take care of the budget, take care of the finances just for a little bit. She did it. It worked out well. But she took the initiative to say, hey, I'm not really liking the way we're going. Let me try it too. And it's not like a...
How did that make you feel, though? Do you feel a threatening feeling?
Not necessarily threatening, because this is my best friend. You know what I mean? This is my rock. This is my ride or die. You don't feel threatened by somebody you love and cares for you, that wants the best interest for you. So for me, it wasn't a threat. It was more so like, dang, I mean, I'm in finance. I know, but it was like, well, my wife is very brilliant. She's very smart, and she takes initiative on a lot of things. So sometimes as a man, you got to put that pride aside and step back and say, you know what? Let me let my woman handle it. Let's see what happens. And if it work, it work. If not, let's scratch it. Let's try something else.
Something different.
Yeah.
And my answer is not like directly towards you or your situation. It's just more general. And just think about, as teammates, as best friends, going for one goal. If that one goal is communicated clearly, then you both know where your strengths are. You both know that you can get this done, and you should be able to. You in general should be able to allow the communication to be open enough to know, like, I don't really know if I got this part right here. Can we discuss what these options are? Maybe we can both row this boat and try to make sure we get into this same direction. Find a direction to get to, and let's do this together, which is what you both have said. The thing where it gets kind of personal, and this is for personal experiences, when you don't trust their abilities to lead, or you feel as if they're not good leaders, they're just more like managers, where they can complete a task, but are they going to be able to lead me to that destination?
Delegate
Because
a little bit.
it's different. You can be a leader or you can be a manager. They both have their great roles, but if you can't be led, also, if you're not allowing yourself to be led, you will not allow a leader to be at their best.
Right.
And I think that's the word there. If you want to be the leader, you kind of have to know how to be led. You kind of know how to fit in. You have to know how to fit into a team.
You also have to know how to follow.
Exactly.
Real leaders serve.
You're right.
Like,
Exactly.
Service is a part of leadership. That's the biggest part.
Yep.
It's because you have to know how to be in the space where you need to be led.
Right.
And I mean, it's just like, we know the word. We know Jesus came down here as our Savior to understand us and our feelings and stuff like that. He could have been the best leader without having to understand what it felt like to have pain or to have betrayal or anything like that. Yeah. But he came down as the perfect leader to understand us.
He was serving. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was serving.
He wiped down people's feet.
You know
what I'm saying? Like,
just imagine Jesus in all white.
Like, bro, like, you know,
wiping down somebody's feet.
Remember, Jesus didn't have all the answers. He did. But the Father had all the answers.
Exactly.
So he had to lead, but he still was following.
Yes.
You know, so it's a dual purpose. So yeah, that whole leading and following, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
A good leader doesn't have all the answers.
Right.
So a good leader's going to bring somebody on and follow their direction to help him lead.
Exactly.
I just know that in the barbershop community, it's always a big topic, the man and the woman's role in the household. And we talked about it on the one episode. But I think that when it comes to making decisions for the household, that always comes into play. You may have the right answer according to you, but your wife may have a whole totally different right answer.
Right.
So how do y'all get to common ground with both of y'all right answers?
It's communication. Is
I was just about to say communication.
Because if you want a yes man, then you'll always get yeses. You won't get progress through those yeses.
Right.
Like, there will be some patches where I don't think that this is going in the right direction.
I don't want to go left. I want to go right.
Yes, and through great communication, you can consider each other's opinions and sides without hurting each other's feelings.
Experiences too, because you know, you dealt with certain things, like you said, there were past experiences that will allow you to say, you know what, that didn't work well the last time. Let's try something different. You know, hey, I've noticed you do great at this. You know, let me go to you for this one.
Because, bro, think
Wait,
about...
that's so deep, because how many times? What if I want to be good at money? What if I wish I had the finances and I bring home all the money and I count the money and I divvy out the money, but I'm terrible at finance?
Ask for help.
But listen, for a man, how difficult is it for you to say, you know what?
Redefine
I'm
manhood.
not good at money.
You got to read from the
We've
first
had that
episode. We've
conversation
always
too.
said,
You're right.
redefine manhood.
Yeah.
Break all those standards down, because that's just different now.
That's
like, we know different and we know better than what we've been told.
Word.
So that has to change.
It's that pride, man.
And it also,
That's it. You gotta let go of that pride.
yeah. And I don't always want to. I always try to have both sides. So pride is involved, of course. But if poor communication happens, like if you do something wrong and then you're being attacked on your wrongdoing, you're not going to want to try.
All right.
Like if you messed up on finances, she's like, see, that's why I'll never have you.
couldn't count.
You know what I'm saying? Like, then that's not encouraging.
Yeah,
that's not a good environment.
Communication, that communication's key.
Yeah, that's
How
not
you
a
say
good
things,
environment.
What you say.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I'm saying, is that as a good leader, right, you would have to know, all right, this isn't my strength.
Right.
And that's, I feel like that essence is the hard part, is for the leader to know, like, well, I'm not good at
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z, so let me put somebody in position that is good at it. And then I can work on my strengths. You know?
That really lets you go to sleep good.
Yeah.
Once you know that you let go of something that you're really not good at,
Talk about
you're
it.
going to sleep better.
How many brothers is out here trying to balance their books and don't know what balance look like?
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, I dealt with that working at Finish Line when I first started off. I thought I was a good leader, and it took years for me to really figure it out.
Yeah.
Like putting people in a position to be better. Before I left Finish Line, you know, getting other people hired is what I consider great leadership. You know, can somebody run the store when you're gone? Can you put somebody like that in a position? You know, what your weaknesses are. Do you have people around you to build on those? You know,
Right.
to make it one goal and one strength. But you know, that's life lesson at work. But at home, it's a completely different. I won't say
it's
monster, but it's the same concept. You know,
And it's
the
never
same.
going, man. You know, we're always going to hit some stumbling blocks,
Yep.
some shortcomings. You know, so it's never. And I don't think there's a handbook on it, because there's always situations that arise that you may have not encountered that are going to require some expertise more so than what's already at the table. So at that point, you got to come together, figure that out, communicate on that, say, hey, maybe we need to bring somebody in to help us with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's never perfect.
Yeah.
And you know, so there always has to be that constant dialogue and communication to kind of keep that shit moving forward.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, me and my wife I was talking to my wife about that on the way here from work, about like even taxes this year. I'm like, look, we ain't doing TurboTax this year. She was like, same thing, I feel you. Like, we ain't doing that. Like, TurboTax is out of here. No, because the thing now, we got the house, you know, we got daycare, like we got all these different things that we may have missed out opportunities on the past
They
few years.
easy for them all the
Yeah,
time. You know?
yeah.
We've graduated.
From that, baby. So, you know, you may have to pay a little bit extra money to get a tax consultant or accountant, but it's going to go a long way. So just even something like that.
And the dope thing about that, now that you're graduating to the next level, there are people that look like you who can be there to help you with this, and not just for the tax season.
Right.
They can help you throughout the year and plug you in, like, yo, just make sure you keep these receipts, because around January, around April or whatever, you may need this, and then you're going to expand and build your connections, which is...
And that's really what I'm saying essentially, is when do you understand, like, okay, let me step back? Because I feel like that is the definition of a good leader, when you know that you're not able to do this.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
step back and let somebody that is
Being humble.
able.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, being
I feel like that's
Sure.
the point.
Okay.
If brothers can get closer to that, we don't have to do everything.
That's true.
And you got a good question though, because you know I think if we keep it on the real, we
Yeah.
all have some insecurities.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
So to expose that is in a sense, from a man's standpoint, a lot of times, not always, is essentially can come across as a sign of weakness, at least internally.
Right.
And so you know we've got to learn to kind of harness, you know, the understanding that we're not perfect.
Right.
You know, that we don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's hard to come by sometimes.
Yeah. We
Especially
talked
when
about
you're
that.
trying to, especially when you're trying to play your role, play your part. I think everybody's got to play their position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're just like I think of it like a marriage is no different than a business. No one person can run everything in the business.
Right.
Can't be done.
No. Impossible.
You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have the support and the help, and you gotta be able to go out and seek that and be willing to ask for it and submit and say, hey, I don't have this. I need you to do this for me. Can you help me with this? It's the same thing in the household, you know, when you think about it. But we got, a lot of times I know I have my own insecurities, and they're not comfortable, but I gotta have them, I gotta take the face on like we all do. And but that's growth, though.
That's the question,
growth.
Jerry.
That's growth.
When do you grow? When do you grow? When do you put yourself aside and grow up? That's the question.
Everybody's time is different, though.
It
like
is.
I was mature way faster than people my age when I was in school. So everybody's different, but eventually it clicks. Like I don't know when it clicks, what age. It clicks for somebody, and it clicks
I'm
differently for
still
everybody.
mature. There's a lot of stuff that I can tell you a lot better than my actions.
Right.
Well,
Right.
if my wife was here, she'd be like,
Right, yeah. Hey, I can't wait for that episode.
I'm gonna be
I can't wait for that
honest.
episode.
Right, exactly.
Bunch of neck roll.
Right. Like, oh,
You
he
did
got
what?
something to say.
You did what? Okay.
Because basically, you asking these questions, when I say this, I'm not directed towards you, and I'm saying in general, I'm talking to myself too.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is really making me reevaluate my own actions.
That's
like,
why we always say this is therapeutic.
yeah, like,
So, therapeutic.
I have to hear something from somebody else sometimes for me to get it on my own. I don't think about this stuff all the time.
Yo,
So I appreciate you bringing this
I'm
question
supposed
up.
to have it figured out. Oh my God, I don't even know half.
The day you got to figure it out is the day you leave this earth, probably. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
You know?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. I'm
Great
glad you brought
question,
that up. So, question of the day: if you have an answer, an opinion, or just some feedback, make sure you hit us up on social media. Fatherhood Fraternity on IG. You can follow us, see pictures of us, and see pictures of other Black fathers doing what we do. Making sure that we spread that vision into the media so that it won't be something that is just like, oh, I can't believe you're out with your daughter or son. Like, yes, we do this. So make sure you follow us, give us some feedback, and let us know what your thoughts on our question of the day. Jay also has the topic for the day.
Jay on the road, man.
Yeah,
He's been here.
it's Jay Day.
Yeah, Jay Day, right.
Man,
Jay
shout out-
Day.
shout out to me, man.
Yeah.
No, really, shout out to Jerry Hammond, man, because Jerry Hammond came to me and he had an excellent, I don't even want to say concept, but it was more of a philosophy. You know what I mean? It was more of a philosophy. And really, Jerry, I don't even want to give it any just due. I want for you to explain, like, what's the word, man? What's going on?
Well, you know, when I came to you and I shared with you, and I'm gonna share it to everybody now that's we're here. I had this dream 7 years ago, and God came to me in a dream. Now here I am, an ordinary guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My walk, I fall, I stumble,
Talk about
and here the man is giving me this dream, saying he wants to show his strength here on earth in numbers. And believe it or not, in the dream, he gave me a silhouette of a T-shirt. And that was it. Big light, brilliant light. I knew he knew that I knew it was him.
Man.
And it was gone. So I wake up like, whoa. So that morning, man, I my life changed. I mean, it absolutely changed. I could actually identify with people who said they've had these encounters. Whereas, I think, and I can't speak for everybody, some people, they believe what they believe. They've been taught what they've been taught. And they have a relationship with God, Christ. And some not even Christ. Some have different avenues and
Right.
approaches. And but in my mind, he gave this to me, and I had to come to the understanding that I got what it takes, or I wouldn't have received this. And I truly believe that we're all God's children. So when he said he wanted to show his strength here on earth in numbers, I automatically came to the understanding that there needed to be some number system, count, etc. to this. And, so along the way, talked to my pastor, talked to various people, traveling this road, figuring it out, and came up with the name of the company called In the Number. It's been 7 years in the making. I started down a road, wasn't feeling it, surrounded myself with a bunch of Christians, thinking that, okay, I need somebody to help me lead this charge, right? Succumbing to what the earlier question, saying, okay, I don't have what it takes, so let me get a team to do what the big man has asked. And believe it or not, me being a Christian, and involving myself with a bunch of Christians to support this dream that I was given, it took a different shape. I'm gonna be honest. It didn't take the shape that I thought it needed to take, and I felt that in my heart. I mean, this started to have all kind of other things to it, like being saved, speaking in tongues, and it's like, nah, that's not it. And then, me being a golf professional, been blessed to teach a lot of different people, Jews, Indians, Mormon, you name it, all different looks, shapes, colors, religious backgrounds. And I've been fortunate to teach a lot of kids, so I've got an academy, I got a bunch of kids, and I'm telling them about this, and then we're like friends, these are all family names. So I said, yeah, I got this dream, I'm starting this company in the number. Next thing I know, one of the Jewish kids said, Jerry, I want to be in the number. And I'm like, when I was rolling this thing out down Christianity, I'm like, well, you can't be in the number.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. And then I got an Indian kid, Ali.
Come on.
He says, Jerry, I want to be in the number. I want to be counted on. I'm like, hold up. Okay, so I gotta look at this a little differently. And it really hit home to me. And it sent the message that I always felt in my heart, that we're all God's children. We're all His children. We are His creation.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you that how you get to Him is right or wrong. That's for Him to decide.
Right.
I know what I've been taught. I know what I learned. I know what I believe.
Right.
But I can't make that call for you. And should you be counted and counted on to make this thing better? Absolutely. He said He wants to show His strength here on earth. To me, that means everybody. He created us all. So anyhow, the name of the company and the number. I did vow to God that I would give 51% of the net profits back to Him. Meaning, I chose 51 because He's majority on it. This is His company. This is all borrowed time for us. So He's majority. So when you go online, you get a shirt. You get to pick your number. The number is unique to you, as is your thumbprint, your telephone number, your social security number, your bank account number, whatever it is. But we want that number to be really unique to you. That means something that resonates with you. You can go on your phone pad and pick your name out and have that be your number. You can use a scripture. You can use an anniversary date. You can come up with words and spell them out.
However you get there.
Yeah, however you get there, that settles with you. And upon then, you get acquired your number. You get to direct 51% of the purchase of that garment with your number, and it goes back to either education, health, environment, human rights. And I just believe that, to me, I sit and I look at this, and I think this is the team of life. I think it's time, given what we just experienced just recently.
Yeah.
We've been experiencing this whole world, Pittsburgh and the shootings and all the stuff that's going on. I said, man, this is finally time for something that we can all align with.
Something good.
Yeah, something good. And my thing is, it's like the team of life. Every team has a team member, right? They got a jersey number.
Yep.
This is your jersey number. Every team member gets playing time. We all living, right? So we all get playing. We all on the playing field.
Right.
And we all role players. And I've come to understand, and I appreciate you bringing me in, Jay, to talk about this and the strength of numbers, because, and it goes back to the question of the day, man, we can't do nothing alone.
Right.
It can't be done. And I can break that down in any facet. I've looked at this thing over the last, I don't care what you look at. Nothing can be done alone. You take a guy like LeBron. LeBron can't be LeBron without that ball, without them tennis shoes, without the fans, without the team, without the televisions. You know what I'm saying? Without the shorts, without the parents, without any of that. To coach him, to guide him, without the teachers to educate him, to read the plays, understand. It can't be done. And when we start to understand that, I think we can move in a great direction for this world. So that's kind of like the overview and the quick snapshot of in the number.
Where do you
the numbers?
So strength in numbers is not like a new concept just in the world, but why do you think that we don't believe in that or stick to that already? And that's not even just directed towards you. Like, this can be to everybody, because this is a question that we've all probably had to deal with, where there's something that you want to do and you feel so much opposition on a lot of things, or you don't feel like you want to reach out for help on certain things. Where do you think that comes from?
I think some of it, like we talked about earlier, it could be insecurity. It could also be selfishness, greed. I think those are some things that play into us not being able to come together.
I don't think we talk about that enough.
Yeah.
I don't think we talk about that in our lives enough as a selfishness that we have allowed us to guide through life. Like, that's greed, a lot of that.
Right.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So I think those are just a few things, and if we really peel back the onion, I mean, we'll probably find a lot more, but at the end of the day, we can go on and on and on and on and on, and it's still going to boil down to one thing, right? We all need each other, right? And we can't do it alone. But let's look at it this way. We couldn't have done it and be here to do it if it wasn't for him. You know? So at the end of the day, it all goes right back to him.
And it's funny, Jerry, that the conversation is leaning in that direction, and we joke just about every episode that this would turn into a gospel podcast. You know what I mean? Because the answers to all of our questions, the answers to all of our topics is a higher answer.
Right.
You can't do this by yourself. You can't raise no family. You can't raise no children by yourself. Like, a shame on you to think that you could. Foolish of you to think that you could. You would need so much.
Exactly.
You would need so much to raise a family, to be a man. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that's spot on, Jerry. Is that it came to you in your dream, but it's so real, and it's exactly what we're talking about. How everything ties in together. It's so perfect how it goes. And really, you would have to look to a higher energy, a higher power, because it's not just you. If it was just me, I would fail as a father. I would fail as a husband.
Right.
I would fail as a man.
Yeah.
Because it would just be me.
Right.
So it needs to be much more. Brothers need to hold each other accountable for the things that
All
they
day.
do. You know what
All
I'm
day.
saying? Brothers would need to be locked arms.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Ready to fight on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's so much that needs to be done, and I feel like everybody's going about it in their own direction. That's why when you brought that to me,
Right.
it was so on time. It was so on time. And I want to tell y'all, as he was telling me this, he was telling me how he's trying to do this alone. Strength in numbers, he's doing it alone.
Yeah, and ironic.
As he was sitting,
ironic.
as he was sitting in the barbershop, every single brother that came in was like, "Oh, hey, Jerry, what's going on?"
Yeah.
Giving him that. Jerry, what's up, man? You still over there golfing? And I was like, damn, Jerry, you know everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody that walks in the barbershop knows Jerry Hammond. And I'm like, this is strength in numbers, right? These is all your
These are
brothers
numbers.
right here.
Yeah.
This is your army right here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I felt it would only be right to put you on the show. It would only be right to have you come speak, because this is the word. This is what needs to be heard from the people.
Right.
You know?
And I appreciate that. And I'm here to tell you, I know I don't have all the answers. So I'm quick, fast, and hurry to reach out and ask for support and ask for help, especially you know, when he's asked this to be done.
Right.
So, man, I like when you told me to come on here, I said, Jay, I'm in.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. So I got these shirts to say I'm in. So I'm
For the record, I didn't tell him nothing. I
Yeah,
asked him. I said, Jerry,
Please, Jerry. Jerry, please.
No, I was like, please let me on the show. It's totally different. So
Man.
that's I appreciate it.
So, Jerry, I would say with the strength of numbers and coming about like different races, because at the end of the day, no matter what religion, no matter what you say, Allah, God, everything
Jehovah,
means God. Jehovah, yeah, everything means
Most
God.
High.
Yeah, it all means God. So we all believe in the same, I guess, entity. So how do you, with different diversities, how do you bring these men, young men together to have this concept of we are in this together? Like, it's not one individual, it's not just your race, my race, it's us. We're all God's children. How can we come together to make this happen?
Well, I'm gonna answer that, but before I answer that, I'm gonna throw a little wrench in,
Okay.
because there's some that don't believe.
True.
So, but in my eyes, it's still His creation, still created, even though you may not believe. And can you be counted and counted on, although you don't believe? Absolutely, absolutely. So the question is, you asked me about all those different religions and ethnicities, etc. What about those? The ones that don't even believe? That can still play a role, be very instrumental and helpful in making this whole thing work for Him, although they don't necessarily align with that. So I'm gonna tell you what I've done. I mean, like I've just kind of laid it open. Can't cast judgment. I'm hopeful that as we go forward, I've created a shirt that has that, simple "I'm in." Carries your number. You pick your number. But I've also put some colors into it. The colors are the world colors of all the flags across the country. So this is a global push. This is big. I mean, it's him. So, Alpha Omega. This is it. It's everything. It all. I mean, there's nothing that he can't do. So there's no boundaries to this. I don't think. I think this is going to live far after me, us, wherever, if done right, because he's driving this one. So you ask that, and it's a good question, but I think it's going to take shape itself. It's going to be open for everyone, and I think I share this story. I've got a doctor friend of mine, and he's an Indian, and we have different beliefs, but at the end of the day, his doctor's making me better, and I'm like, because you don't believe what I believe, should I not be able to utilize your skill set and expertise to make me better, to continue to do what I do? So, different color, different religion, and I guess my thing with that, I looked at it in that fashion, and I said, man, you put here to help me, and help others, and it don't matter. You believe different than me. You probably like different movies than me. You eat different food than me, but you're still making this thing work. You are a role player on the team of life. You know what I'm saying? You making this thing work for the big man. You serve a purpose. You have a role. So it's going to be interesting, man. To answer your question, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be slick.
Jerry, when does this launch? When you start?
We're planning on launching Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Black Friday, we're going to launch. We're going to roll the shirts out and the hoodies out. And
how can I get one, man?
You can go online, inthenumber.com.
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 Okay.
And I think we're going to probably put up a pop-up store. We're working on a pop-up store in Polaris and Easton.
Okay. So Columbus, y'all in Columbus, go check them out. Polaris, Easton.
Yeah.
Online as well.
Yeah, and the website's just a face page now. It's just a splash page. So we're going to launch that next week. Okay. Officially when we get closer to the launch, so everybody can navigate and kind of find out some pretty unique ways to kind of come up with a number that resonates with them. I got my kids' birthdays as my number. Okay. People ask me if I'm gonna be number one. I'm like, nah, I ain't number one.
God number one, right?
Yeah. I'm wondering who if I can sell 23 to LeBron or Mike.
Right.
So I don't know. Right. We're gonna figure it out. We working at it. So
So Jerry, for the people who don't know you, who are listening, give us a little bit of your background. Like, tell us about where you're from, your family. It's just like a 3-minute summary of yourself that people will understand your story a little bit more.
Born and raised right here in Columbus, Ohio, man. On the east side off of Kelton, Livingston. And came up, father made his way, did pretty good. Mom was a school teacher. Father, Jerry Hammond, a lot of people may know his name. First black president of city council. So he kind of paved the way, man, and he kind of has some big shoes, and he's got a building named after him on East Broad Street. So I've been fortunate and blessed, and I used to look at that, man. Believe it or not, I don't want to divert too much off the.
Do what you gotta do. Yeah, this is your time.
I used to look at that, growing up in the hood, man. You want to fit in like everybody else, but here my father is, man, doing some big things. We have more.
City councilman.
Yeah, we have more. So it's like, man, I got to go against the grain to fit in because my cats don't have as much. So as a kid, you don't understand that. You just want to be accepted. You want to fit in. So you kind of go against the grain to kind of
rebel against that.
Yeah, and you rebel, but
sound like Nuno.
You mature. You get older, you mature, and you realize that. This was meant for me. This was meant for me. Don't run from this. Take this and work with it, because if you do it, you're in position to do something that's going to be well worth it, in your life. And you can give back and do the things that you've always wanted to do. And we don't know those things until we get older. So I grew up, man. I've been really fortunate. I went on to play basketball, believe it or not, a year at Ohio University. I went there. I transitioned out of basketball into golf. I had always played golf. My father taught me early on. I played 1 year in high school, but I was more of a hooper with the fellas, running track and all that. So
fitting in the usual stuff.
Yeah. And
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's what we
Well,
don't see too many golf clubs in the middle of the field.
No.
You don't see that.
Yeah, my grandfather
my
had some in the
cat.
backyard like that, little
so,
putt-putt.
so a lot of my boys just say, there's Richie Rich. He walking out the house with his mom. So,
yeah.
Esquire.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so
Back to ATL.
you gotta learn, and I learned the hard way. I felt some opposition and pushback even from my boys, but some of them were jokingly, some of them serious, and so I had to learn to take my own path, stand on my own 2 feet, and go against the grain, and I did just that, and I've been fortunate. We talk about fathers, fraternity, the whole nine. I was fortunate to have a father, man, that instilled in me, that built me to be able to handle these things and coach me along the way. And I wish so bad he was here today, because some of the things that I've run up against, I know that if he was here, man, he could have just guided and directed me and said, hey, don't do this, don't do that, boom, and be on the way. But I do believe that these things were meant to be.
Oh yeah.
So, but anyhow, I turned pro. I transitioned, played golf in college at St. Augustine's in North Carolina. Shortly after I turned pro, toured a little bit, and made my way as far as touring. As a black man, being the only one back then. This was before
Tiger, baby. This
all
was
of
before
that.
Tiger, y'all.
So it's a different world. I ran into that. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of cats out there looking at me. White guys saying, "What are you doing here?"
Jackie Robinson of your time.
Yeah. What are you doing here? And
That's real.
didn't have the money, so I had to scrape and scrounge and do what I remember. I used to jump the fence early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning over the Eastern Driveway, and scrape up some balls just to go hit them. I used to actually, I don't know if I should say this, but I used to kind of keep some of them balls, put them in a little baggie, man, and go to the parks.
Hey, ain't nobody checking
and
for you
hit
now,
'em,
Jerry.
You know what I'm saying?
Ain't nobody checking for you now.
Yeah. So, it was kind of like, those are the things, and you kind of make do. I used to go to the baseball diamonds and hit off the dirt to interact being in a sand trap.
Right.
So you had to make do, you know what I mean? And I had a passion, I had a drive, and I had a mission. I always wanted to be in professional sports, and that was my drive. But lo and behold, man, this golf platform has taken me in so many directions. So I'm very blessed. My father just introduced me to the game and had the means to get me to where I am today. I've met some phenomenal people, man.
They said big business is done on the golf course.
Big business.
That's where the business is. It's
And
done on the golf
I've
course.
met some phenomenal people that I can say that are friends. I can actually say that, I've got some billionaires in my phone that I can call and talk to. So it's stuff like that, man. So, and I don't take that lightly. So I've always been the one that, man, if I can do this, man, just think of what these other little kids can do, because they got more skills and talents in there that I didn't have.
Just need the
And if
opportunity.
given that opportunity,
Yeah,
man,
the
they can
opportunity.
take this thing and run with it.
Opportunity.
So,
And see, Jerry, that's one of the success stories that I have from the barbershop is my man Kenny. What's Kenny's last name?
Gaither.
Kenny Gaither, right? So I'm telling all these young boys, because everybody wants to be in the NBA, everybody wants to be in the NFL. And I'm like, man, don't you know there's so many other things that you can do to succeed? If you want to be a professional athlete, you can do so. You don't just have to play basketball, run track, or play football. You can do whatever you want. Here comes Kenny Gaither, right? Lincoln High School. Kenny's got to be like 6'3", you know what I mean? Looks like somebody's shooting guard. And I'm like, Kenny, what's going on? He like, I'm getting ready to graduate. I got a scholarship. I'm going to Hampton. I'm like, you got a scholarship? Man, what you playing? Basketball? You a shooting guard or something? He like, nah, Jay, I play golf. Golf?
And it threw you off, right?
You mean to tell me you getting a scholarship to go to Hampton University, an all-black HBCU in Paradise?
Yes, beautiful.
I don't know if y'all ever been to Hampton, Virginia, but oh my God,
Yeah.
I've been there twice.
Up there with Howard, baby.
Man,
Howard,
he's like, I'm going to Hampton University to play golf.
full ride.
And I'm looking at him like, bro, you 6'3". You sure they don't mean basketball? He's
Right.
like, nah, this is what I do. And then coincidentally, Jerry Hammond was his coach earlier in his life. And it's like, that's what I'm talking about.
That
That's the
pipeline.
success story that brothers don't hear. It was another guy that got a full ride scholarship for fishing. It's brothers that come in here that's bowlers. And all we know is basketball, football, and track. But brothers, I'm telling y'all, be inspired by Jerry Hammond's story. It's so many things under the sun that you can do to further yourself as a man, one, but your education, your finance, everything. You can be somebody totally different. You don't have to be the same
Right.
the same guy, man.
And it's cool to see it here in the city But even if you're watching TV, we have black hockey players. We have
For real.
black skiers, soccer players. Like we can do everything. That's what these kids gotta have, is that inspiration. Just somebody to say, look,
That's the word.
come with me. You could do anything you
Jerry,
want.
you're an inspiration.
You
to
are,
most,
Jerry.
man.
Well, I appreciate that, fellas.
Really?
I do. And
I think the key thing that you said, Jerry, that like resounded to me, that you kind of glazed over, was that you said your father introduced you to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that exposure is something that is like the biggest key to any young mind, young or old mind. The exposure to different and to other things will allow you to have so many more doors open to you. And the fact that your father took the time just to expose you to something without knowing what your future would end up being, just the fact that you are allowing, we all have kids who are young. We have to expose them to everything.
That's what
because
our plan is.
you don't know where their end product is going to be. You might not even see the end because we may not be around for it. But the fact that we took the time to expose them to something, that your father did that, has opened up so many doors, not only for you, but for Kenny.
yeah.
But for the other
Right.
kids that you're coaching,
Right.
just off of exposure. And that's where we have to try to expose ourselves to more things and the people around us, because it's important.
Right. No,
And
I would agree.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's very important to me.
Yeah, and I think that's the very thing that's gotten me here today. And like I said, man, I've been really blessed. And my father had, our relationship was strong. He was a businessman. He was in the world, and so a lot of when you talk about the fatherhood, my father wasn't. He was a loving guy, but he was a man on a mission. He was put here to do what he did. So it's not like my father and I would just hug. We didn't have. It wasn't that. It
None
wasn't
of
that
us
type.
had.
We all had
None of us
that. We had that
man.
same.
I'm the only
feeling.
one that has like that father that was
No,
like a hugger, kisser.
No, I ain't had
To
that.
this
I
day,
didn't
my
have
father
that.
like that.
And I
Yeah.
didn't. And I look at it, and you see this stuff on TV. Oh man, come here, hug. And it's like I ain't get that.
Right.
So you kind of. I look at it like, and it wasn't until I got older I said, okay, you are your own man. This is what. You are who you are. The man put you here to be who, and you didn't have all the answers, but you did what you had to do,
Right.
And you made it happen. And I'm proud of you for that. Now that I'm of age, and I can see the impact you had, although I didn't have this, I see what you were here for.
We've all
And I
kind of
was
took a step
fortunate.
back and saw that too.
It takes time.
Yeah, it
because-
takes time.
And I still probably have a lot more realization to go through when it comes to my father and my relationship with him. I love him, but I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand why I didn't get that. And maybe I didn't need it. Maybe I needed to be able to understand things a little bit on my own without having the full nurturing father that you see on TV.
And I would say you weren't supposed to have it.
Right.
Or you would have had it.
Exactly.
I wasn't supposed to have it.
the
Or
way
I
it
would
goes.
have had it. And I just think that that's real.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But now it's now that we know it, what do we do with it?
Right.
Exactly.
So
It's funny, Jerry, because at the end of every episode, I'll be like, man, I can't wait to get home.
Right. We be
I'm gonna
excited.
grab my baby. I'm gonna love
Hug 'em, we hug 'em,
tell
kiss
my
'em.
wife how good she
Every
is.
Monday they know it's something
Man.
going down.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get home after every episode because it's so much knowledge that I want to pour into my children,
Yeah.
into my wife. I want to go home and tell my wife, even if ain't no issue, like, baby, you right, you got it, you the leader. You know what I'm saying? I can't. I'm shotgun. You know what I'm saying? You drive, and I can't wait to do those things. And this show is therapeutic for me for that reason, Jerry. I may call my father on the way home just from hearing what you said, what you spoke about. I may call my father and just tell him, like, man, I appreciate the things that you exposed me to,
Absolutely.
and the things that you didn't, because there was a lot of stuff that my father left me out of.
Yeah.
And so, thank you for raising me the way that you raised me. Thank you for keeping me. You know what
There
I'm
it
saying?
is.
And it'll be like that. So,
Yeah.
Jerry, so within the number and strength in numbers and everything that your vision is, where do you see it in like 5 years, 10 years?
You know what? I don't know.
And that's nothing
That's
wrong
a
with
real
that.
answer. That's
I
real.
don't know. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see people all across the world gravitate to being counted on and seeing what we can do collectively, the impact we can have if we do come together. And I think, regardless of, like I said, race, color, religion, interest, whatever, I think we can all come together in the number. That's a simple thing that we can come together, get a number. We all have some of us are mandated numbers,
Right.
but this one you get to choose this number, and this number is you retire this number. So this number will be retired.
It's going into Raptors. Throw it out there.
And numbers are infinite. So I think I think, man, we just scratching the surface with this thing. I think this thing can take a direction, man, that I have no clue to.
It's an excellent concept, man. Because when you explain it to me, I look at the word I keep bringing up is accountability. Like, this is mine and I'm accountable for it. This is my position and I'm gonna play it, right?
There it is.
This is my lane and I'm gonna drive in it.
Right.
And it's ownership of my part, my position. And so,
But to know that you got some help too.
exactly.
You know that you count.
Exactly.
You know
I'm part of a whole.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You're not in there by yourself.
And that's the whole thing with not even just in the number with Fatherhood Fraternity. The fact that we know that it's a group of us that are going through the same experience of life, that you don't have to go through it by yourself.
Right.
We can talk and express
There it is.
and laugh and joke and bounce ideas off of each other in any situation because we are dealing with the same thing and we're growing. We don't have the answers. I have no answers for you, but I'm going here
We're gonna find it. Yeah, we're gonna help each other.
We're gonna talk it out. We're gonna talk it through it, and that's the main thing. Is like, I don't know. I'm new to this. My daughter is 2. I have no experience. Like,
A lot of that learned experience.
Because you gotta think about it. Like, people can be like, who is he to be able to start a fatherhood
Expert,
fraternity?
yeah.
Like, who is he to do this? Like, he got one child,
Right.
and
He ain't been through it. He don't know nothing.
She can't even talk about
Right,
it.
right.
He don't know nothing.
And that's the point of this is that I'm not the expert. We're not the experts. We have to be together in this whole thing as a community. Whether it's fatherhood, whether it's in the number, whether it's in your neighborhood or where you're living, and like the grocery store, we should be able to look out for somebody who might need a couple change to get the food that they need for the week because we're together in this community. We are accountable for each other. We see each other doing wrong. Like, hey, bruh, I don't really like what you're doing right now. I think that you maybe could do something a little bit better for yourself
Right.
and your family
That
and your image or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like. It's a lot of that we could do more
That's
of.
huge. That's huge. And D, you asked that question 5 years. What I would like to see is because I think this is universal and it boils down to the universal law. Love your brother as you would want to be loved. Love your neighbor as you would want to be loved. Treat your neighbor as you would want to be treated. I don't think
Simple.
we can go wrong with that one. So you say, but there's people, and we stereotype, right?
Mm-hmm.
We size somebody up, they got tats, they got a beard, they got a black hoodie, and then you automatically, because of the way this world is, you sizing somebody up, being stereotypical, you look at me just walking down the street, you don't know I play golf and
Right.
what I do and what
Right.
I've done, but you're going to probably have you're going to size me up to some degree.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So my point is, what I would like to see this do, this brand, once it's out there, is I see you on the plane, I'm not going to talk to you. We just don't just go up and talk to anybody, right?
Right.
For various reasons. Shy, fear, just unknown, whatever.
Right.
But my hope is, if I see you with that logo, I'm going to know you got a number.
Right.
I'm going to say, oh,
What
what's your
number
number?
you choose? Yeah.
What's your number, man?
What
Why
made you choose that?
And then there's that, you break that barrier.
that ice, yeah.
There's that.
That tension is
I
gone a
know,
little
yeah,
bit.
right.
That'd be great if everybody had a number, right?
When
and we all
when
show
everybody has that.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
You know how you show up to somewhere and somebody got on like
Like letters.
Oh.
Let's say fraternities.
anything.
You
Yeah.
got the same letter
And
jacket
you
on.
recognize and you
There it is.
Yeah.
and you recognize that and you identify with that, like, hey, nah, what's up, bro? Yeah,
Right.
you caught that sale, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
And
Those
it's
type
kind
of
of the
things.
same thing. Like, oh, you got the number, right? What number are you? I'm 1, 2, 3. I'm 4, 5, 6.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You
But
know
I
what
know
mean?
about you too.
Right.
Because I know what you stand for when you're in the number.
Yep.
I know what you stand for. I know what you're about. So you see somebody with swoosh on, I mean, like it's good apparel, but you don't know. There's no insight.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't know that really that person got your back almost. They counting on. They signing on for the same thing you signing on for.
Everybody got the same vision.
There it is. So that's my point. My hope is that's the point we can get to.
It's gonna be big, Jerry.
And this is for men and women.
Men
correct?
and women.
'Cause I know
kids,
we
stuff
have
like
we have
that.
a lot of women listeners.
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel excluded. I
Right,
want to
no,
make
yeah.
sure that they knew that they could be a part of
men,
in the
women,
number
kids,
too. In the
and
number.
It's for everybody.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're all his children, man. This is his thing. It ain't mine. So he just I'm just kind of leading it, help lead this thing with everybody else. It's going to take all of us to be counting on to get a number to make this thing drive. So
I
You said
appreciate
inthenumber.com?
inthenumber.com.
I appreciate your thought process and just even having the courage and the obedience to follow what God has put in a vision to you. Because I mean, anybody, I've had visions and stuff. I've followed through with it, and there's things where I didn't follow through. And then you see somebody right in front of you doing the same thing that you know you should have been doing.
Right.
And that's where you know that God has a plan that He just allows you to be a part of.
Right.
That it'll get done no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
With or without you.
You're the vehicle He tries
Right,
to
right.
present to you. And I just want people to know that whatever it is that God has given to you in a dream and a vision, think about it, pray on it, meditate on it, and push through it. Because God will make a way and doors will open for you that you don't even see.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your obedience. There's a lot of things where you just like, nah.
I don't know. I don't know about that one yet. Dog.
That's too many people. I ain't trying to. I don't like them like that.
And there's a lot of fears and worries that come with it.
Yeah.
You know, just like we were talking earlier, there's fears and worries that come with anything. But you say the correct thing that you said. You know, the obedience and pushing through.
Yeah.
That's the key, because I've had some oppositions that some doors were slammed in my face. You know, and it's like, man, how am I going to do this? And I have some oppositions where I went overseas and bought a bunch of clothing and spent thousands of dollars on clothing, and it's a bust because I didn't know the quality control. And I'm spending, and my investors are like, okay, you just dropped 30 G's on clothes and we can't sell them. So I'm accountable, and I'm like, whoa, you know what I'm saying?
Didn't realize that.
So it's like, okay, now I need to go find somebody that can do that for me, and I need to pay somebody versus trying to do it myself. So it goes back to
The question of the day.
It goes back to strength in numbers, everybody,
Yep.
you know, being accountable, being humble, finding somebody to do what you can do, what you can't do,
Right.
to make the ship still sail. And so, man, it's crazy, but I mean, I appreciate you guys. I think it's gonna go really well. I'm hopeful.
Good.
I mean, but the man's behind it, so
Yeah,
you know, I
exactly.
gotta remind myself that so I can sleep at night, because
Right, we all
sometimes it's tough.
behind it, yeah.
Jay, for you personally, you just might as well just tell God, like, I hear you.
Right,
Because,
right.
like, everything is going back to answering the question that you had. And I hope that you personally are hearing God's word through these experiences that we talked
I'm
about
telling y'all,
today.
me and O-Sharp, as y'all was coming in, me and O-Sharp was having a conversation, and it's always the same thing. It's always the same thing, and it boils down to simple elements: being obedient, being accountable for your actions, loving as you want to be loved. It's all like elementary principles. It's all simple, man, and that's the way I choose to look at life.
Yeah.
Nothing is complex to me, man. The older I get, the wiser I get, because I understand nothing is complex. Everything is real simple.
That's strong there.
It takes a while to get to that
Yeah, it
point.
It does.
It takes a while. Like, fellas, if you're listening and you ain't there yet,
Yeah.
just keep
I
living.
wish y'all could see me. I'm sitting Indian style. No, I'm levitating.
All right, so I think this has been a great way to end the show. We got a lot of good information. Fellas, what did you all grab or what will you take home from this show? Norm, what will you take home from our conversation today?
I think more so just finding something you're passionate about and just going after it. Because I got ideas and some things that I've brought to the table. Even something simple like I want to be fluent in Spanish. Like, I love the culture. I can speak a little bit of it. I can understand some. I love everything about it. And I feel like it's a way to expand my horizons on what I want to do in life. Whether it be going to a country and giving back, or giving my time and, know how to speak Spanish and converting that. I don't know. But I remember I brought that up one time, and man, a couple of my boys, was like, man, what you gonna do with Spanish? A little Espanol.
Better take a salsa
And
class.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, is hearing people that you call friends and hear that backlash, or just hear that, what you can't do that. And that's something, even something small like that is a goal of mine that I want to go after.
Go towards
Yeah.
it. There's apps for it. There's
Right.
Anyway,
All type of things.
I
just
want
have
to
put
learn
effort in.
Spanish and American Sign Language. That's something I need to get back into.
My wife
Bro, I feel
did
you.
sign language. She used to sign for Ohio State football games. But and we taught Braxton sign language when he was a baby, and we used that to communicate until he was able to talk. So
that stuff is necessary.
Yeah, necessary stuff. So
Follow
that something I have other ideas, but something small like that is something I can go after. That Jerry basically said, you know what, you got a vision, go out there, listen to God, follow it.
Jay,
The word, I'm telling you, is accountability. That's really what I'm taking from this. And even with the question of the day, it's like playing my part to the fullest, 100%. Like if I have a number, own that. You know what I mean? My role in the household, own that. Even as a leader, know when to step back and not necessarily follow, but know when to be led, know how to be led, right? And so accountability is what I'm gonna go home and pour into my children, pour into my wife. Be accountable for your actions, and then like just own your position, stay in your lane. You know?
Jerry, what do you feel that you're going to take away from this conversation? And we thank you again for taking the time out to be a part of this conversation.
You know, what I take away from it is that what I've come to understand, and that is you can't do this alone. I mean, this message can't be done alone. It's going to take the airwaves, it takes the computers, it takes the microphones, it takes people building the microphones, computers. You know, it takes us being here, having the time, you know what I mean, being a father.
Right.
It takes all of us. So that's what I've come to understand over these last 7 years. And then anytime I kind of find myself in scenarios, it's not about me, it's about we. You know what I mean? And if we can start to come together, man, I mean, just like this is powerful. This is powerful. And this is just 4 of us. Just think if there was much more of us. If we had we had our own radio station, and we had this and that.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? So the strength in numbers, it boils back to that. But I will say, yeah, that's kind of what I take from it. It's about all of us, man. To make this thing go round and make it work for us.
I agree with every single one of y'all and what y'all have said.
And that does account for accountability and passion. And it counts for all of us.
Yeah. It's like all encompassed. All of the things that you all have said, I'm taking home with me. And it's just one of those things where I'm full. I'm full hearing you guys talk, and I feel good being in the company of people who are thinking, people who are listening, people who are trying. Because I can't be around people who are not trying to be better or trying to do something, or who aren't listening, or who aren't trying to grow. Like that's dead to me. I mean, that's dead to anybody. Like you have to have people with growth around you, and I appreciate the fact that I can look in front of me and see growth and see people wanting more. And I thank you guys.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's a word. Jerry, appreciate it again. One more time. Where can we find the shirts coming out next week?
InTheNumber.com.
InTheNumber.com.
Right.
Be ready for it.
Fellas, y'all have a good one. We up out of here. Let's go holler at our families after this.
All right.
All right.